Hello everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our little traveling adventure. We got a bit of time off. We decided to take a little road trip. We're trying to make it up to Thunder Bay because Anne's never been and she wants to go and see. She's curious. But we're not doing a straight shot drive. We're stopping along the way on Crown land here and there where we can, and we're going to camp for a night here and a night there. This is our first stop. We're just outside of Wawa, and we found this little road right off the highway. I can actually hear the cars on the highway when they go by. But we came back here and we couldn't find any water, but we found this great spot. It looks like it's hunters that have left it behind. They were nice enough to leave us a little bit of firewood. They built an outhouse just over there, and there's a stump here that we can sit on, but of course we have these wonderful chairs that we got from Anne's parents. A big thank you to them. So let's get on with the adventure. When you're bouncing around and doing Crown land camping, especially when it's just off the road like that, sometimes you luck out and find things like this. This is a big steel fire pit that I guess they made it, and it has a grill that covers one portion of it. So I could actually use that to cook on. It's rusty, I won't cook on it, but I could put pots on it to boil water. And if I wanted to fry something on it, I've got my grill that I could sit over top to keep the food off the rust. I've already got it loaded with firewood. I'm going to light that just a bit later. They split a huge log and made a nice bench that we could use to sit on or whatever. And they've got a couple of big stumps out here we could use as tables for our beer or for a drink or for whatever we need it for. And then, like I said, the outhouse is back there. And now you see the outhouse. It's not huge, but it'll do the job. There's even a coffee can in there with a half a roll of toilet paper. We've got our own, so we'll try and leave that alone. And went in with some hand sanitizer and sanitized the seats so that we got something clean to sit on. So now, all that's left to do is relax. The tent is up. I just got to blow up my air mattress. We've got the cots. We're set up for car camping, but I brought everything we need so that if we can find a spot where we can use the hammocks, we've got the hammocks. If not, we've got the tent and the cots. We've got the big chairs. I brought the little chairs in case we find a spot that we want to go and hike a little bit and just bring some seats so we can stop and have lunch. The car is loaded. So this, for us, is glamping. We've got the small cots in our little tent. We made a little bed for Lucy on the other side. We should be quite comfortable. We just have to blow up the mats to put underneath the sleeping bags, and then we'll be ready for the night. I bought these. They're Zip brand twisted fire starters. I bought them to use with the charcoal because I brought the charcoal grill. But I'm curious to see if they'll actually light with the ferro rod. So Lucy's throwing sand at me because she's digging herself a comfortable spot for later. I'm just going to break this up a little bit. Set it on top. Okay. See if I can break it up, make it a little bit finer. But it's dry tinder and it's waxed, so it should work. There we go. So it takes a little work to get it to light, but it does light. So now I know it'll work great for the charcoal. And it looks like it's going to do the job and get this fire going. Yeah, Lucy's going to be comfortable. Morning, everyone. Just on time for coffee. Oh, it was a good night last night. We got the fire going, but it was already late in the day. We decided not to cook. We in the cooler I have some pre-cooked pork chops that I cut up into small pieces. We have some lettuce, so we pulled out some wraps and we just made wraps with that because it was taking too long for the wood to burn down. Then we sat around and enjoyed the fire and enjoyed the evening and crawled into bed. And still sleeping. It's a little cooler this morning. Only August 11th, and the mornings are already starting to cool down. Oh, we were in the shade here when I first got up, so I had to put my jacket on. It was a little chilly. Now we're waiting for the sun to come up a little higher. It should dry all the dew that's on the tent. When Anne gets up, we'll have another coffee, pack things up, head further down the road, find another spot. It would have been doable to make this trip in one day, just drive there and be there. But it's a long day of driving. If I remember right, it's like 10 hours from where we live. But we decided we'd break it up. We stopped here for tonight. Today I think we're going to drive through Wawa and we're going to start heading up towards Thunder Bay. And we'll find a spot somewhere in the middle and we'll spend another night. We're just driving around, checking things out. But who wants to pay for a hotel room? I mean, this is way better than any hotel room I've ever been in. They won't let me build a campfire in a hotel room. They tend to frown on that. Oh, Lucy's walking around. She found a few squirrels this morning and chased them around for a little while. So she's getting lots of exercise. But so far, it's turning out to be a great trip. And like I said yesterday, if we hit a spot where we can set up the hammocks, we're gonna set up the hammocks. If we can't set up the hammocks, we'll sleep in the tent. We even brought the canoe along so that if we can find a spot close to water, we might spend an extra day or so and paddle around a little bit. So that's the first night of our camping trip done. As you can see, we're loaded right up. All that's left is to put the canoe on top. And then we're going to hit the road and head on further down and see where we stop next. But this was a great little spot. It was nice to have firewood when we got here because we got here a bit late. So whichever hunters left this here, thanks. Now let's hit the road and see where we end up next. So we're still on the road. We checked a few spots along the way. It seems like every road we checked turned out to be just a hydro line. And then we stopped in Marathon at Canadian Tire. We were thinking about picking up a GPS unit, and that might help us a little better because so far we're just using the Google Maps on our phone. It's not doing what we need it to do. But when we stopped in Marathon at the Canadian Tire, we were talking to one of the young guys there, and they didn't have any GPS units. But we asked if he knew about Crown Land, and he said, "Oh, Crown Land, yeah. Go about 20 minutes up the road towards Thunder Bay. There's going to be a road on your right. There should be a sign there, and it says Dead Horse Road." Well, we went driving up the road about 20 minutes, and we started, okay, we're not sure if there's a sign. We're going to check a few roads. And I pulled in on one road, and we were about to turn around and leave because it didn't look like it was going to pan out. And we spotted in the bush, hidden behind all the leaves, there was a sign there, and we moved the branches to have a little bit of a better look, and it says Dead Horse Road. We're like, okay, we're on the right trail then. So we're in about 6 kilometers into that road. We found this little spot, and as you can see, there's a bunch of trees behind us. But there's a little trail back there, and if you go down the trail, the lake's just down at the bottom. Now, we're only staying here for the night. We're going to keep going on our merry way tomorrow. But at least I know I can go down to the lake and get some water. So we can have a fire up here and we can be safe. For now, I put some charcoal in the grill and lit it. I'm just waiting for it to give us some decent coals, and we're going to make supper. Well, while we wait, it's been a long day of driving. When we went through Wawa, we stopped at LCBO there, and I found Lake of the Woods Brewing Company. It's a Sultana Gold, named after the legendary Sultana gold mine on Lake of the Woods. And then the writing gets too small, I can't read it. But they stake claim to be a true northern beer and bring home the gold. It's 5%. And didn't you read earlier where it was made from? Yeah. Yeah, it's made in actually it's made in Winnipeg and Kenora, Ontario, and somewhere in Minnesota. But that's what it is. So when we got here and set up the tent, there's a fire pit right behind us. So I went and gathered a little bit of firewood. There was a little bit kicking around here, but not much. So I went and cut a little bit more. So the plan is we're going to cook supper in the grill. And then I'm just going to throw the coals into the fire pit after and throw a bit of wood on it. And that should deal with our fire for tonight. Yeah, we heard something walking in the bush behind us there just before I turned on the camera. Probably a squirrel. She's saying loud noises. It might be a bear, but trust me, any bear I've ever seen in the woods, you don't hear it coming. You don't hear it walking.
Babies, no.
But we're here. We're making enough noise. A bear won't come anywhere near here. But yeah, that's not bad. You want to try it? Yeah, no, that's actually really good. I still got to run down to the lake and get a bucket of water. That way, if anything gets out of control, we're ready. So I think I'm going to go and do that, and I'll let that grill get down to some nice coals. And we're cooking pork chops tonight. So I had froze 2 bags of pork chops, hoping they'd stay frozen for the week. But it got hot in the car today. The ice that was in there melted in the cooler. And all the pork chops are thawed out. So I'm just going to cook them all. That way they'll last longer. Tomorrow we'll pick up ice on our way. While those pork chops are cooking, I pre-cut some chunks, and pre-cut some chunks of onion. Some chunks of peppers. And some mushrooms. A little bit of butter. Clean off the knife with a mushroom. And we're just gonna wrap it up and trap in all that goodness. Take another piece and wrap it again. There. And once the pork chops are cooked, I can throw that on the grill and warm those up. Now that smells and looks delicious. Mm. The pork chops at home, I coated them with a little bit of olive oil, and then I added some garlic powder and some Montreal steak spice and a little bit of seasoned salt. And then I put them in a Ziploc bag and I froze them. So once they thawed in that cooler, they've been marinating in those juices. I checked them yesterday and they were only partially thawed. So they thawed out probably by this morning, and they've been marinating in those juices all day. Mm. Oh, yeah. That was definitely the way to go. That was delicious. Okay, we're done with dinner. I put a little bit of wood in the fire pit. The grill is still hot. The charcoal is still fairly warm. So I'm going to go and take the grill off that, and I'm going to dump it on this wood. I've got a little bit of birch bark and some branches I'm going to throw on top, and hopefully that will catch the fire. There's still lots of hot coals in there. Set this aside so that it'll cool. Trip on a rock. And now we get to sit by the fire and relax a while. Morning, everyone. Oh, Anne's still sleeping. But I know she'll be getting up soon. I'm working on making another pot of coffee. I've already had some coffee this morning. And the sun finally came up over the trees. It was a little chilly when I got up this morning. But the trees behind me are so tall that the sun is too low. It finally came over the top and we're finally getting sunshine here. And it's warming up nicely. We had another great night last night. We had a beautiful fire going. We actually found a spider web. And I managed to get one or two good pictures of it. Try and insert those here. We just crossed into the Thunder Bay district yesterday, just before getting here. We're right around 200 kilometers from Thunder Bay itself. So today, we're going to wait till the tent dries out again. Then we're going to hit the road, try and get into Thunder Bay. Have a quick look around, and then try and find a spot to camp for the night. And then we'll probably stay there for a few days. But so far, been a fantastic trip. She's awake. Now we just have to wait for the tent to dry. And we can put it away. I think when we stop in Thunder Bay, I'm going to have to pick up another can of spray to coat that tent, to waterproof it. I hadn't done it this year because we hadn't used it. Anne used it the first time when she went to her girls' weekend a couple of weeks ago. And it worked great then, but last night there was so much heavy dew on the tent. There's a couple of drops that I saw come through. So, if we get caught in a heavy rain, it ain't going to work. So when we hit Thunder Bay, I'm going to pick up a can of spray, and when we set up the tent tonight, I'm going to spray it. And then we should be fine for the rest of the trip. Rain or shine, we'll be okay. And I got enough tarps with me that if it does start to rain too hard, I could always put a tarp over it. Because I think once we get through Thunder Bay and find our spot where we're going to camp for the night, we're probably going to stay there for a couple of nights. Hopefully, we're on the water and we can actually use the canoe. That's what I'm hearing. Lucy's burying her food behind me. Or trying to. The ground is pretty solid here, dog. You're going to have a hard time. The nice thing is here, I do have the trail going down to the lake so I can get water. I was actually able to get a little bit of a fire this morning. I didn't want to do that yesterday because we had no water, and I did not want to leave without putting the fire out, and I didn't want to sit there until it was out. But today, we can burn a few little branches. Once the tent's dry, I can always douse the fire pit, and then away we go. On the road again. So that's our second night done. Campsite's all cleaned up. The fire's out. We even got a bucket of water out of the lake and managed to wash up and change our clothes a little bit. Much better. I feel much better. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back for part 2, the continuation. We made it to Thunder Bay. We got in a little bit late, so we ended up staying in a motel for one night. And when we left in the morning, we stopped at, I believe it was Adventure Outdoors. And the people there were very friendly. We asked them if they knew of any Crownland camping in the area, and they gave us directions exactly how to get here. And they said, it may be busy, but if you put your canoe in the water, there's a few islands down the way, and you should be able to find a spot there. We took a short little ride in the canoe. We found this island. We went back for the gear. We're going to be here for a few days. So let's unpack the gear and get set up for the weekend. We've brought all our gear up here and in the shade. There's a nice little fire pit right here. As you can see, once again, we've cleaned up after other people. We're going to have to pick that up and deal with it. But then if we walk up here, there's a beautiful cross breeze. I'm going to have to remove that stump. And this one tiny little dead tree. And I'm going to go from that tree right there over to this tree here. And from this tree over to this tree. And then from our hammocks, anywhere we look, you can see the water. We're doing the 3-tree thing again. I was going to put a post here, but then Anne noticed I could tie my ridgeline out to that tree, and it's holding my tarp out taut. Her ridgeline, I tied it out to my ridgeline, and I used a prusik loop and tightened it up. So now we've got a nice awning here. They're not calling for rain for the next 5 or 6 days. We're not supposed to rain until Thursday. Well, we're planning on leaving either Tuesday or Wednesday. We're playing it by ear. So we can leave it this way. And if something happens, it starts to rain too much and I have to take them down, I can always just bring the 2 ends down and pin them down, and we're still covered. But this way, we got a nice breeze coming through, and if it's just a light drizzle, this will stop a light drizzle. We can set up our chairs under here and just push on the tarps once in a while to get rid of the water. Now, I got to go fix the fire pit. I showed you how much garbage was in the fire pit and cleaned it all up. So that's all bagged and ready to haul out. There was a few logs behind me, and Anne found a few branches, so she weaved them in to build a little more of a windbreak back there. And there's people camped on shore way at the other end, so that just kind of gives us a bit more privacy. But there was a few rocks kicking around down by shore, so we carried them up, and I built up the fire pit and made it just a tiny bit bigger. So now we're going to have a great fire pit for a few days, nice and safe. We've got a bucket of water. I'm going to douse everything around it before we light the fire, and then we'll be good to go. So here's our view right from where we put in the canoe, and right about there you see that little white dot. That's a trailer, and then over there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an orange tarp there. Somebody's camping in a tent. But when we pulled in, that whole lot over there is a big open field, and there was a trailer set up, and there's a tent set up, and then towards the other end there was 2 other tent setups. So we decided to throw the canoe in, paddle around, and see what we could find. And 2 little islands in, and we found this beautiful spot. We're still in the process of putting away our gear, setting up. But it should be a beautiful place. They're not calling for rain for the next few days, so I don't plan on putting up a kitchen tarp. But if it does start to rain, I've got a nice clear area over there, right behind where Anne is sitting. I can hang a tarp in there, we can pull the chairs underneath, then we'll be laughing. A couple of videos back, we had found a rope and I had tied it to the bucket to retrieve water, and we decided to leave it there. And as you can see, Anne's using it now and it works beautifully. So now Anne cleared some of the grass and stuff that was around the fire pit, and she's soaking the ground around the fire pit just to make it a little safer so that we don't worry about the fire spreading too much. Just as an extra safety precaution. I mean, we're out on an island. If something happens, we're not getting help anytime soon. We've got everything set up. I got a little bit of firewood. We got the fire going for tonight. I'll have to cut more firewood tomorrow. But we're going to kick back, relax a little bit. Have a beer. I'm having a Cameron's Amber Red Ale. Anne's drinking a Bone Shaker. Unfiltered India Pale Ale. Oh, you may hear a little bit of traffic noise. We're about 25-30 minutes outside of Thunder Bay on Highway 527. Like I said earlier, we had stopped at the store and they had told us about this place. Unbelievably friendly in there. Fantastic crowd. Tons of gear. It's a great little store.
Yep.
But very friendly. They gave us some good advice. They sent us directly to this spot.
So we're going to hang around for 4 days?
Yeah, about that. About 4 days. We'll be here for about 4 days and enjoy the peace with the odd highway noise going by, but it's not a very heavy.
It's not bad.
It's not a very heavily traveled highway, so it's not bad. We hear a car every once in a while. During the day, who cares? There's so much going on. We'll be in the canoe. We'll be paddling around,
fishing,
doing a bit of fishing, hopefully eating a bit of fish. We had some canoers go by a while ago and I was talking to them, and apparently there's perch and pike here. But we're going to sit and enjoy the fire. Think about not having to drive anywhere for the next few days.
High five to that. Yep.
Yeah. We can paddle around, but at least we don't have to sit cooped up in the car for a few hours. Morning, everyone. First cup of the day. Oh, this is going to be good. We sat by the fire for a while last night. There was enough wind to keep the mosquitoes at bay. There was none. Okay, move up a little bit. Get out of that smoke. Yeah, so there was no mosquitoes last night. Woke up this morning to the sound of buzzing all around the tent. They were wild. That's why I lit the fire. Just to try and cause a bit of smoke and get rid of some of them. They've died down now. It's not bad. The fog rolled in last night. It was so thick, it was unbelievable. You couldn't see 2 feet off the island. So the plan today is, I think I'm going to put up that tarp. And at some point we want to hop in the canoe. And we got to go back to the car. We forgot a couple of minor things. But while we're out on the water, we want to paddle around the island and see what it looks like from the water. I decided to hop in the canoe and paddle back to the car. We forgot a few things yesterday. Anne forgot her phone, so she can't take any pictures. And I forgot a tarp and my rod holder. And if we're going to be here for 4 days, I kind of like to have my rod holder. Hopefully I can catch us dinner for at least one of those nights. So I'm going to head to the car and grab that stuff. And then go back to camp, cut some firewood for the night while it's still cool. That way if the sun does come out and it's roasting hot, my work is done. So here's Anne, solo in the canoe for her first time, testing it out with my kayak paddle. So after finding such a wonderful spot, we're gonna have bacon and eggs this afternoon. That's gonna be a delicious lunch. Would be made better if I would have remembered to bring some bread for toast. Bacon's done. So we'll pull that out. Oh, no. Nope, runaway bacon. All right, well, we're not eating that one. I'll put this aside. You want 1 egg or 2? 2? And now I'm cooking mine. But bacon and eggs in the backwoods, very hard to beat. That's gonna be delicious. Look at that. Anne's taking a turn at cutting some firewood. The clouds keep coming in and clearing out and coming in and clearing out. So I took an extra 9x12 tarp that I had and I strung it up down the center between our 2 hammocks as best I could. Now, on this side, the tarp's not quite wide enough. It doesn't quite go over the edge of my tarp. So I pulled it down very snug in the hopes that the rain will wash down here. Here on Anne's side, it does come over her ridgeline. So the water should run off this tarp onto this one and down to the ground. I pulled the tarp as close to the tree as I could get it so that I could pull these corners down to give us a bit more protection if the rain is coming from this side. I've already tied the other 3 ends of the hammock, mine and Anne's. This is the last one. All I've got is a little piece of jute twine here, and I'm just wrapping it around, and tying a simple knot. I'm going to tie a few of them actually just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Get out of there. Mosquito trying to fly up my nose. Now, what this is going to do, because the hammock straps are outside of the tarp, they're going to get wet if it rains. And the rain will follow down the strap, and it should keep going down the strap and go down. But if it happens to go over the top of the carabiner here and come down the rope, when it hits that jute twine, the jute twine should soak it up and it'll just drip down the end of the line. And that way it won't run down the last little bit and get to the hammock. So the hammock should stay dry. So now we're all ready, and now the sun's coming back out. So we've been cutting firewood for the afternoon, and every time we find branches, Anne's been working on her wall. Her little wall that we had yesterday is now over 6 feet tall in places. And with the fire pit here, sitting with our chairs there, even if the wind picks up crazy tonight like it did last night, we'll be out of the wind. We'll be in front of the fire where it's nice and warm. She did a beautiful job on that wall. Great job, Anne.
Mhm.
Well done. Decided to go out and take a little trip in the canoe. And while we're out here, I threw my line out. And the island is right there. I tossed my line out, stuck it between my legs. I paddled 3 strokes, and I got dinner. We got a double header. Mine was a bit small, but by the time I got mine off the hook, Anne's spit the hook and left. But we just let the wind push us through between the island and shore. And Anne doesn't like to touch fish, but this one's hers. So we now have 3 fish in the boat. So I think that's going to be enough for dinner. So there's our catch for today. I got 2 and got 2. So I guess we'll have to go out again tomorrow to see who gets the tiebreaker. But yeah, we got 2 good sized ones. And then the 2 little ones we had to keep because they swallowed the hook too deep. Looks like we're eating fish for dinner. So Anne's got the first batch of that fish in her plate. And look at the amount of fish I got left that I got to cook. Some of these fillets are
So good.
nice and big. Anybody want a piece of tail? Not a bad haul for our first trip out. Oh, yes, please.
I know, right?
Okay, hold on, I'll go take my insulin.
Okay.
Here's Lucy patiently waiting for her share. And peeled some apart and checked it. Make sure there's no bones in there.
Oh, look at it go.
Okay, we need some for us too. I didn't get my share yet. Is that delicious, Lucy? Well, another day done. We got a lot accomplished today. Some firewood cut. You got your wall. Almost 6 feet tall. And it's working great. There's just a little breeze coming in, but that wall is stopping the breeze completely. And then you caught your first fish. And your second fish. And we ate them both. They were delicious. Yeah, Lucy got to eat some fish. Oh, but now we're all full. So we're going to sit back and enjoy the fire. Nice quiet evening. And then crawl into the hammocks and hibernate until morning. Because that's not going to be a sleep. After all that fish, that's going to be more of a hibernation. Morning, everyone. Yesterday was amazing. We got quite a bit of work done. And when Anne and I went fishing, she's not used to trolling. She's not used to holding the rod and paddling. And in the front, she doesn't have a whole lot of room. But I had my kayak paddle. So We paddled out just a short ways, and then I got her to put her paddle down, and she cast it out on the right side. And then I picked up my kayak paddle, and I cast it out on the left side and let it go behind me, and I just wedged the rod between my legs. And away we went. So Anne was fishing, and I was fishing and paddling. Worked out fantastic. That canoe glides so well. I love that Swift canoe we bought. It glides so well on the water that with both of us in there, I can paddle it no problem. I was very happy to see that she caught some fish finally, and we were able to eat the fish she caught. Oh, she loved it. That was awesome. Perfect day. Perfect coffee too. When I got up this morning, there was so much fog I couldn't even see off the island. Now it's starting to break up there. I can see the other side. It's clearing up quite well. And hopefully the sun comes out. Clouds look like they're breaking up though. We'll have to see. I know a lot of people that, oh, why do you fish northern pike? Why do you fish northern pike? There's too many bones. It's too much of a hassle. They're too slimy. Once they're cleaned properly and cooked, they are fantastic. It's one of my favorite fish. But you can't argue taste. I mean, just because I love it doesn't mean everybody has to. Everybody should, but they don't have to. Well, I'm going to put this away and enjoy my little fire and my coffee. After 2 days of being out here and cutting wood and cleaning fish and setting up camp, sweating like crazy, it's time for a little bit of backwoods glamping. It's shower time. Nice fresh t-shirt, fresh underwear. Oh my God. It's like heaven out here. That felt fantastic. But of course, now that we've had a shower with the cooler lake water, the sun comes out, would have warmed up the bag nicely. Oh well, at least we're clean. But we were out on the canoe earlier, and found some dried cattails. I've been playing with it since we got back here, because I heard they were good for lighting fire. What I've found is they act as a great coal extender. So I'm going to cut up a little bit of birch bark and place it in this bundle of twigs. Like so. Snap that part off and save it to burn in the fire. Now, if I fluff this up a little, and then hit it with the ferro rod, I may have to hit it a few times. There we go. So it takes a bit of playing, but you can get it to go. I actually got it flame there. Now, if I place it in the bundle, well, that worked. So we had another successful afternoon of fishing. And now for the weekend, the score is 11 fish for Ann, 5 for me. We didn't keep all of them, but some of them were too small. But we got another 3 for today. And it'd be great for supper. So we're having fish for supper again tonight. I melted some butter in the pan. We've got onions, carrots, and peppers in here. Once these are done, I'll set them off to the side. And then I'll add oil to the pan and we'll cook the fish. And that's going to be dinner. We want to send a big shout out to, we finally actually have the name of the store. It's Wilderness Supply in Thunder Bay. They sent us directly here. It's an amazing spot. We've been doing fantastic fishing. And we've changed our plans. We're going to stay for a couple of extra days. Tomorrow we're going to do a little grocery run, get some ice and a few supplies, and then we're going to stay probably until Thursday. But Wilderness Supply, Thunder Bay, if you happen to be in that area, stop. They're amazing. The service was fantastic. They were very helpful. Fantastic place. Sent us to a fantastic area. It's been great. When we were in the canoe, we found some cattails. I used a dry one earlier to light the fire, but we also took a few that were still brown. We found an old can that was left in the fire pit when we first got here the first day. Now that the fish is cooked, I poured all the oil in the can and I'm soaking the 3 cattails in that oil. We're going to see if we can use them for torches later tonight. That's a little experiment we're running. So once again, dinner's going to be amazing. There's onions, peppers, and carrots fried in butter. And then I just added the oil on top of the butter in the pan and fried the fish. Oh. Mm-hmm. Definitely delicious. Dinner was delicious. We eat better out here than we do at home.
Mm-hmm.
The cattails are still soaking in the can. And we decided, seeing as it's an experiment, we may as well let them soak overnight. The can was only about half full once I put all the cattails in there. So we'll give them a good 24 hours and we'll try and light them tomorrow night. Now I think we're going to sit back, relax, enjoy the fire. Probably turn in a little early tonight, get some good rest. So have a good night, everyone. We'll see you in the morning for coffee. Morning, everyone. Yesterday was fantastic. Spent the afternoon fishing. Got to eat fresh fish for supper again. That was amazing with the vegetables. Oh, we gotta do that again. It's amazing what a difference a little bit of butter will make. Oh. We sat by the fire a bit last night and went to bed about 10 o'clock. Nice and early. Fantastic night's sleep. Plan for today, we're going to head back into town and resupply. And then come back and have a nice, easy dinner, probably some sausages or some hot dogs or something. Not as much fog this morning and the sun's out. Sky's nice and blue. Past few days we've been getting up and the sky's been gray until noon or 1 or something like that, and then the sun would come out. But this morning the sun's up. I woke up last night, it was too bright because the moon was shining right into my hammock. Oh. But it was a beautiful night. I got up this morning, it was just a little cool. Threw an extra shirt on. We're all good. We may stop by Wilderness Supply just to give them a big thanks for pointing us in this direction, because this place is awesome. Oh, it's gorgeous here. And I haven't had to paddle to shore for firewood yet. There's lots of dead stuff around here, which is perfect. But so far, it's an amazing trip. We are loving it out here. Last night we showed you that we were dipping the cattails in the leftover cooking oil. Right now what I'm doing, I put a hole here, a hole here. I'm going to knock one more hole here. And I test it with just a regular cattail. Yeah, it stands perfectly. So what I'm going to do, we have 3 brown cattails in there. We have one that's, it's like this one. It's a dried one, just to see the difference. So I'm going to put one with the oil in this one with the oil in this one, and one with the oil in this one. These 2 I will try and light with a lighter. The last one, I will try and light it with my ferro rod to see if it works. It's something that Anne remembers her father doing this when they were younger. He used to bring the cattails home, dry them, soak them in lamp oil or whatever. She doesn't remember. But we decided we were going to try it with the leftover fish oil from cooking the fish yesterday. It's an experiment. Something to do when we're out here in the woods. So we'll bring you back later when it's dark, and we'll see what happens. 10 to 9. It's going to be really dark in about an hour, but it's cloudy tonight, so it might get darker sooner. So we want to get this done while we can still see what we're doing. So here's that can of cattails. They're still dripping with oil. So we're going to put one here. And then right beside it, this is the one that was really dry. Now it's dark again because it's soaked up all that oil. Wow. And then I said I wanted to put one over here to try it with the ferro rod. But what I think I'll do is try that one with the ferro rod first. And if it doesn't work, I'll pull out my lighter. Okay, so that one won't take a spark. Neither will the old one. So we'll have to use the lighter. I can hear it sizzle, but it's not lighting. Okay, so I broke up a bit of fibers on that one, and that one's lit. So let me see if I can separate a little bit of the fresh one, open it up a little. So it works with the one that was already dry. With the wet ones, I probably would have had to dry them first. But let's see if we can give the wet one a little bit of a boost. Nope, even holding it over the fire. Oh, maybe. Nope, nope, it won't stay lit. So now we know if we dry it first, it works beautifully. Wet ones will not. So we'll get rid of the evidence in the fire. That one, we'll keep an eye on it.
What I said, my dad.
And Anne just said, like, that's what her dad told her, he would dry them. So now we know, if they're dry ahead of time, take an oil, any oil, it'll work. Even used fish oil. We'd like to give a shout out to Richard for his idea that he taught Anne, and Anne kind of makeshift told me, and we tried to figure out a way to make it work out here. We got it working. So the only one that lit and stayed lit was the dry one. But it burnt and fell off the stick. It's on the ground now, but it's still going. Won't work as a torch like we thought it would, but it's still going. So at the 10-minute mark, it fell off the stem. At the 20-minute mark, it's still burning. So 25 minutes, and it has finally gone out. Not bad for just canola oil that you use to cook fish. Morning, everyone. We ran into town for supplies yesterday, and we're getting low on coffee, but they didn't have the our normal brand. So this morning, we're getting McDonald's coffee. Yeah, and of course I tore the bag. Okay. Oh, that smells good. Now, if you're wondering why I'm using the stove instead of the fire, well, I knew this was going to be an extended trip. It's starting to rain. Yes, it is. All right. Give me a second. We got to move. As I was saying, we're getting McDonald's coffee this morning. I got everything moved. The rain just stopped. All right. Well, in that case, let's go back out there so Anne can sleep. Guess it's going to be that kind of day. When we went into town yesterday, I checked the weather network, see what they were calling for today, and it was supposed to be light rain, nothing too heavy, but more showers, a bit here and a bit there. But when I got up, the sun's right there. I mean, clouds are breaking up. They break up, they close in, they break up, they close in, like they've been doing all week that we've been here. Oh well. We may get to test out the tarps and make sure it keeps us dry. And the reason I'm using the stove instead of the fire, I knew it was going to be an extended trip, and I knew we'd be packing and unpacking and packing and unpacking and packing and unpacking, and I didn't want to get soot all over the pot, so that I didn't get all the rest of the gear covered in soot. We're in town running our errands. We stopped in at Wilderness Supply, went to say hi to Ben and Stephanie, gave them a big personal thanks for leading us to this spot. This was amazing. The other day I went for a ride in the canoe, and when I got back I stepped out of the canoe and the whole sole let go on my sandals. So I gorilla taped it back together again, and that's what I've been wearing most of the week. So while we were there, I bought a new pair of water shoes. At least I don't have to wear the gorilla tape shoes anymore. It's a fantastic store. They've got quite a bit of stuff in there. Very friendly and knowledgeable people. I'll definitely be stopping in there whenever I'm in this area. As for the rest of the day, well, we got back. We cleaned out the cooler. We had brought more ice, so we put new ice in the cooler and rearranged everything. Nothing too exciting. The plan today is try and catch some fish. Have one more big feast of fish, and then sleep here tonight, pack up in the morning, start heading for home again. If it pours all day, we'll sit under the tarp, read our books. If I have to cook, I still have my flat pack grill with us. It's underneath my hammock. And yesterday I found a little bit of hardwood about the size of my thumb. But it was a long piece, so I cut it up into sections. So worst comes to worst, I can set up the little flat pack grill just outside the tarp there and make a little fire in there and cook dinner on that. We have to wait and see what the day brings. Let's see what this coffee brings. Smells good. Mm. Yep. Oh. Okay, Rain, give me at least a half hour to just sit here and enjoy this coffee. Mm. So this is the side of the island that we are facing. We're catching a little bit of rain right now. This is the back side of the island. That big black cloud.
So that's thunder. We have been camping now for 9 days. It's been beautiful weather up until now, but this evening we're getting the rain. We are nice and dry. We are inside our little cocoon here. There's Sandy. He's also capturing it. Here's Lucy. Hey, Lucy. Hi, baby. Yeah. So we are good. Everything's good. It's the other side of the island. Bring you back around.
Lucy.
Oh, Lucy just spilled Andy's beer. She does this. If there's liquid around, yeah, she'll tip it over.
So the rain has picked up, but we're nice and dry under the tarps. As you can see, it's raining quite well. The thunder is pretty much a constant. It was behind us. Now it seems like it's shifting and it's coming right over us. With any luck, it stops soon because I'd kind of like to cook the fish for dinner. Seemed like it was going to stop a couple of minutes ago, and then all of a sudden moved over a little bit and the rain picked up again.
But we've had 9 days of sun.
Yeah, no, it's been a great trip so far. This is the first real rain we've had. Storm's over. Sun's out again. Morning, everyone. Yesterday, Anne decided she wanted a bit of time to read her book and relax a little bit. So she spent the afternoon doing that, and I hopped in the canoe and went and did some fishing. I caught 14 pike. I kept 5. Some of them were too small, but I kept 5. We had enough for supper last night, and we have a bit of leftovers for lunch this afternoon before we leave. After I got back, we were sitting around and we could hear thunder. So we took a few pictures and got just a little bit of video. But the storm was actually passing behind this island further back. We just watched it go by. When the rain hit, we were catching just the side of it a little bit. So it wasn't too bad. We went and sat underneath the tarps. We were nice and dry under there. Everything was great. It was a fantastic day. Fish was delicious. About 12:30, massive storm right on top of us. I woke up, I looked out of my hammock, and I could see the tarp was sagged in one spot. So I hopped out of bed, pushed that up. We were still relatively okay, but the wind was always coming from this side of the island. So I had closed up that end of the tarp and left this tarp open so that we'd have a place to sit and be able to watch around and what was going on, because the rain's going to be driving this way. No big deal. We didn't change directions. That storm hit. Rain was coming in this way. The my hammock, the underquilt got sprayed just a little bit. It's not dripping wet. It just got sprayed a little bit. And the very foot end of my hammock got just a light sprinkling. It was damp. It wasn't wet. It was damp. And it's not the whole hammock. It was just at that one spot. So I stayed dry. I stayed warm all night. Anne must be dry because she's still sleeping. But her hammock as well. The underquilt got a little bit of a sprinkle, but I didn't look at the hammock because she's still sleeping in it. But because the wind was driving this way, I had another tarp. But at this point, it's 12:30. It's pitch black. I can't see a thing. All I've got is my little headlamp. And I've got to stop the rain from coming sideways. So I just created a wall with that tarp. It wasn't perfect, but it slowed a lot of it down. The wind picked up and it got really windy. And my first thought was, uh-oh, we're on an island. My canoe only weighs 25 pounds. I had just pulled it up on shore and flipped it upside down and called it good. So I ran out into the rain, pulled the canoe up a little higher on shore, and I grabbed the rope and tied it to a tree. Luckily, I had a dry towel under the tarp, so I was able to dry off before crawling into the hammock. But by the time I dried off and crawled back into the hammock, the wind had already died down. The storm had passed, the thunder and lightning was back that way. And then it was just a light rain for a while. But when it came down hard, it came down hard. It's also why I'm sitting on the cooler this morning. The chairs were just under the edge of the tarp and they got a little damp. I'm trying to dry out the chairs. And the stuff that we had underneath our hammocks, whatever was further to that end is fine. My backpack was at this end and it's damp. It's not wet, it's a little damp. But our shoes were wet. So I've got my shoes on the back of the fireplace trying to dry. And her shoes there. I'm wearing my water shoes right now. It was still a great day. Fantastic night. We survived it. We're dry. We're good. we're gonna pack up later and head for home. So this is us, all packed up, ready to go. Been a fantastic holiday. Thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure having you along. And if you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. If you're going to do that, hit the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we put out a new video. See you on the next one.